I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. With us, our regular guest, our CIA officer, former CIA officer and whistleblower, the man that wrote this book from a CIA perspective. I don't think any CIA officer has ever written a book like this before. From the Company of Shadows, it's Kevin Shipp. I'm giving it away. He's an expert in the deep state, expert in counterintelligence, espionage. He's got many credentials. I'm going to bring him on. Kevin, thanks for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Greg, it's always a pleasure to be with you.
Big news on Andrew McCabe. He tried to basically get out of lying, and he's listed in the IG report as lying. Now, this is not adjudicated, so he has this presumption of innocence. But, boy, it's sure looking bad for Andrew McCabe, the former number 2 at the FBI. He actually was the acting FBI director for a while. Is this just hopium that maybe the hammer of justice is going to fall, or is this the beginning of something pretty big?
Well, we'll see how the prosecution goes. Essentially, they denied his appeal to drop criminal charges, which refers him for further criminal investigation. And that's what we're seeing right now. There's a very good possibility, I think, and you'll probably agree, that McCabe facing prison, it's not good for an FBI agent to be in prison. That's not a good thing. He's going to talk, obviously. I think he has to. And that will include his bosses at the FBI, Comey, and others. There probably will be some revelations there. I think Comey will be next after McCabe in terms of an actual real investigation.
And you think he's going to turn state's evidence, that he is going to say, listen, I'll talk. You have to cut me a deal. I mean, you think he's going to do that?
I do. Absolutely. It's either that or being in prison with Billy Bob for the next 15 years or 20 years or so. The motivation is great for him to talk.
What do you think? What kinds of things do you suspect, being you're into this is a kind of, first of all, let's back up. This whole deal, I've been saying, for simple people like me, they had to make it up. This was a counterintelligence operation. You are a counterintelligence expert. What did these people do that everybody should be outraged over?
Oh my goodness! This is one of the most outrageous thing that the shadow government deep state have done, and they actually did an counterintelligence espionage. That was their excuse to open an investigation. A spy was counterintelligence doesn't have the same proof and reasonable suspicion as the law does. So what they did essentially is, it's clear to me without question that spying on Trump was ordered by Obama himself. Had to be, no doubt about it. He gets a presidential daily brief on what the NSA, CIA are doing, FBI every single day. But the FBI spied on the Trump campaign with an unprecedented domestic spy operation. That is rocking this country. And also, we just found out, you and I have discussed this, the United Kingdom put out, or there was a memo that the UK sent out to Brennan and to the FBI, as well known in the FBI, that UK memo disavowed Steele as a credible source. And yet Comey, Brennan, and Clapper had to know, because it was commonly known inside the FBI and resulted in the false FISA applications. So the UK even tried to tell our intelligence that Steele was bogus. And I've always said, I want to know why he left MI6, because they're distancing themselves from him. So maybe he was fired or who knows. Now, also that UK memo was distributed to Susan Rice, Obama's national security advisor. She had it. She knew about it. Guaranteed Obama knew about it through her. And yet they continued this spy operation anyway. And you and I discussed this. Comey was on CNN the other day and had the gall to say that it's perfectly normal for the FBI to spy on a sitting president using a CIA operative. And we also know now, as incredible as this is, the FBI's CIA informant got into the White House. Trump invited him. He had a meeting in the White House with Trump, and the guy's a spy spying on Trump the whole time. I mean, that is mind-blowing. And these people have got to be brought to justice. And that includes James Comey and perhaps even Clapper. And they set Trump up in their White House meeting with him so they could leak that information later. So this is essentially, there was hidden spying going on using confidential informants of the CIA. The CIA will not do these things by itself because it's a felony, and they always have plausible denial, so they like to use cutouts, and that would be Stephen Halper, the Oxford Oxford University professor, who was a CIA and FBI informant that they got into the White House and was part of the whole Papadopoulos setup. So this is what we have. Brennan and MI6 knew that this operation was going on and was coordinated with Allied intelligence. I mean, that is huge. If this comes out, and I know Sidney Powell is trying with her legal case to get this brought out.
She is representing now, just newly represented Lieutenant General Michael Flynn.
That's right. And in my opinion, Sidney Powell is a hero for what she's doing. She is trying to expose the deep state. She's gone before federal judge Emmett Sullivan, and she's requested the evidence that the prosecutors have withheld from her defense team for some time. No surprise there. But she's requesting documents that if she gets them, if Sullivan approves it, will expose in detail Spygate and Flynn at the center of this soft coup that we're talking about. I think she's requesting 40 categories of evidence from the on Spygate from the quote unquote deep state that they've refused to turn over. And even the evidence shows that the government concluded that Flynn was not a Russian or Turkish agent. So the FBI did an interview with Flynn, telling him it was just an interview, it was not an investigation. After that, they wrote 302s, and they were altered and falsified. Stephen Halper and others put out the disinformation that Flynn was having an affair with a Russian agent, which was completely untrue. And Sidney Powell is requesting by Judge Sullivan to have all of these things exposed as part of this court case, and that is exposing the deep state.
She is going after prosecutorial misdeeds, is what she's doing. She's going after them and saying your whole investigation is a sham. I mean, could this have a cascading effects for what they did with Manafort and what they did? They put Papadopoulos in jail for a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Carter Page. I mean, could this have cascading effect for all the other people that they've got to, plead guilty on a process crime or lying to the FBI or some bogus deal? Could this wipe all that out? Is what I'm asking you.
Well, if Sullivan rules in Sidney Powell's favor, then that will be a demonstration of serious prosecutorial misconduct. And what that means, in that case, then all the charges against General Flynn are false and have to be dropped. And that is big. And what fruit of the poisonous tree, if all the evidence against Flynn was fabricated, then and the charges are dropped, there was no Russian connection, then that leads down to Manafort. Rick Gates, they should be set free because of fruit of the poisonous tree. The whole investigation started on false, fabricated information. And I think, in my opinion, if Sidney Powell is able to do this, it will open all these guys over for a presidential pardon.
Also, too, couldn't the prosecutors? Couldn't the prosecutors be prosecuted? I mean, couldn't these people lose? They could, at the very least, couldn't they lose their law license? And couldn't they be prosecuted?
They could, much like Bill Clinton, they could use their law license for fabricating information. And that's just the beginning. If this was a government abuse of power by the investigators, that is a felony, that is illegal. And yes, they could be criminally prosecuted.
Wow. There are many people involved in this. I mean, I know some people are saying, "Hey, the wheels of justice are slow," but this is, many top people, not just a couple, many top people in the FBI, many top people in the DOJ, many top people in the State Department, many top, and this is a Judicial Watch has been exposing that, many top people in the White House. Many top people in the CIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DNI, the National Director of National Intelligence. It involves spying through contractors with the NSA. It involves foreign spies, foreign governments. This is that mind-boggling.
It really is mind-boggling because you've got the FBI and the CIA domestically spying on a presidential candidate, and then sending helper into the White House to actually spy on the president himself. This is what I've been talking about. I think we're going to get a bumper sticker that says I was talking about the deep state when talking about the deep state wasn't cool back in 2011. This is huge. This is the shadow government deep state actually going after a presidential candidate and in support of Hillary Clinton, trying to keep Trump from being elected. Then after he was elected, they kept it going and had Halper still involved in trying to collect garbage information on Trump and his appointees, Flynn being at the top of that list. This is the shadow government deep state conducting an operation. Now, they've been doing this sort of thing for years. I experienced that in my case. So it's no surprise to some of us, but this is bigger. This is huge that they had a domestic spying program involving CIA, FBI informants targeting a presidential candidate and then the actual president himself. Never happened before. Hoping it'll never happen again, but this has to come out. It must come out. If we're to retain our democracy and our constitutional republic, these people have got to be exposed, they've got to be indicted, and they've got to be charged. If they are not, it's pretty much over for our justice system.
Well, the one thing I keep hearing about is this. They hated Donald Trump. They did it because they liked Hillary Clinton and they hated Donald Trump. Let's just start with McCabe. You know, Terry McAuliffe and the DNC gave him his wife nearly $700,000 running
Right.
for a local office.
Right.
My question is, what is the motivation to get people like McCabe and Comey and Brennan and Clapper and people at the State Department? John Kerry's involved in this because
Yes.
just happened.
Yes, he is.
Is their motivation to allegedly get these people to commit one felony after another? They must know they are committing felonies, and what the story is well, they're doing it because they hate Donald Trump. Really, you can get people to commit multiple felonies with decades of prison time for the accumulation of these felonies because they just hate somebody?
Yeah.
What's up with that? What is their motivation?
No way. It comes down from the very top, and their involvement in the.
Are they being paid off? Are they corrupt? Or do they have stuff on them? Do they have control files? Do they have payoffs? I mean, there's got to be something more than they just hate Donald Trump.
Well, we all know that this ties back to Hillary Clinton, which I've said many times was and is involved in a international criminal enterprise. And these people were all. Comey's been a Hillary Clinton fixer for a couple of decades, as Mueller has. So these people are tied into this upper echelon elite in the deep state shadow government, and that's tied into Hillary Clinton, and it's also tied into globalism. Donald Trump was going to pop the lid off of all of that, and they knew it. These people have been doing these criminal operations for a few decades now, and they've never been exposed until now. And so they're all trying to cover this up. They're all trying to cover themselves, but for the first time in our history, at least since this was began, they're being exposed as much as they tried not to. So it's tied into the elites that have been running this government. I've talked about that many times in the shadow government, always thinking, as Hillary Clinton did, that they'll never be caught. They're too much in power. They're controlling the government through the FBI, CIA, NSA, and they thought they could get away with it. Enter Donald Trump. Backfire.